That's
I mean,
a ton of points.
Yeah, and then Sexy Boy as well. Again, I think we saw him at the top of the semifinals in week 1 and then second place in the finals. So he's making sure that he's on the top every single time. Not qualified yet, but there's 2 spots up for grabs here in Asia. So this time, maybe he has the opportunity to redeem himself, to actually make it through. We've seen him so many times on the standings, but again, this is all about confidence going into tomorrow. As many points as you can get to be able to solidify that and all the early game moments and all that stuff. So, we're gonna
absolutely. That's pretty awesome, and it's cool to see.
Hashim, Cyber कहाँ गया? Very sad. क्या बोलता है? Good, Allah Hafiz.
Disconnected.
Wenkin, I'd love to take a look at some of his highlights as well, because this is another person that's new on my radar, not someone I'm super familiar with, but 94 points, that's actually pretty insane. That's a ton of points to be had, and again, we have to hope that this kind of carries them, that they can hang on to this momentum going into tomorrow's games, because confidence does play a very big factor in a lot of these players' games, and I mean, you can speak a lot to that.
Yeah, for sure. It's all about confidence, and Wenkin, I mean, this is somebody that had the confidence. We'll look at one game here. This is just highlights from one game, a few clips. And look, he's just using the trip board and just going over this guy in Loot Lake. He already has 3 elims. There's 4. He continues to get a bunch there in Loot Lake, but then he follows it up. This is mid-game now. He's pushing somebody with a GL in mid-game, that grenade launcher, opening up opportunities, and then going up for box fighting as well. I mean, you don't really fight at this point, but with the confidence that he has and the knowledge he has about who the types of players he is facing, this is what you want to see, especially in the semifinals, getting up those elims.
You like to see it. This is going to be someone else going on my radar, and he already has 11 elims in just that game alone. So these are definitely some people you want to keep an eye out for. Now, Bala, I believe we know what the people want. I'm ready. You're ready. So let's hop into some of the games. Now, I know what you're thinking. We're going to need some casters, all right? So let's go ahead and call these guys in. I believe it's going to be Sundown and Courage JD. Oh, look at that. Just like that.
Yes, it is. You're correct.
Gentlemen, I leave it to you.
Thank you, Zeke. Brilliant intro as always. Great to be back again for week number 3. Sundown, looking good as ever. Dude, that shirt, by the way, fire.
Thank you, man. Big fan, big fan. Keep
Fire.
an eye out for those. We might have a little bit of news on those coming through, but most importantly, we're about to jump into the European matches, so let's get it started. And again, you can see the 4 box there. If you're playing in the semifinals, we have a chance to jump into your matches, hop on in, get in there, get the gameplay going right now, jumping on board with SYJNQLF. I have no clue how to pronounce that, not even going to try. Picking up a nice elim there as we move into Circle 5 and onward. And you can also see their nice little update coming through. We have the point totals in there, so that's updating live as they happen. So you can see he's already sitting on 5 points so far for the tournament, Jack.
Nice. You love to see updates like that in week 3. 10 weeks of updates coming on through as time goes on, but before we really get into too deep of an action here, Sundown, question for you. What's your thing you're looking for in EU today, player-wise? Who are you looking to see if they'll qualify? Because I know my one player.
I definitely think your one player is probably going to be one of my top 3 as well. My top 3 are going to be Mongrel, Mitro, and then I'm looking for the return of Beehive. He's had kind of a off past 2 couple of weeks. He's even said it himself, not necessarily feeling his gameplay, but I'm hoping he can elevate it. He's generally been very consistent in the solos, so want to see him back. But I know you want to talk about Mongrel.
Oh, the guy's just a freak. He's so good. He even publicly said, hey, while I didn't, qualify the first time around, I fully expect to this time, so eyes will be on him for sure. We're now in our 6th zone. The storm beginning to move as you hear those rifts and launch pads pop. Players flying all over the map. Couple ballers still in play, but nothing too much. Ooh, I thought that player at the end who was low on HP was going to drop right there, but does get out with his life for now. Slayer currently at 7 points, floating on in towards the zone as a fantastic loadout, but not a ton of health.
Yeah, not a ton of health indeed, and jumps up right to 10 points. As you see, we are inside that top 24 or top 25 threshold. Now 22 players remaining. As you see that update in the top left hand, where also the action feed is, you see SYJNQLF picking up another, actually self-eliminating there, so going down, unfortunately. Now you can see Slayer trying to find an angle on this player and able to get Teaser there, going down, no problem, but getting pushed, Jack.
Oh no, that's a quick, heavy snipe play, but no! Somehow Slayer turns it around. The aggression doesn't pay off. Remember, 50 health on elimination. So going from 31 HP up to 81. And here's a perfect example, right? Sundown of Slayer making this rotation happen. Now because they stayed alive long enough, they got the placement points, potentially another elimination coming on in here. Now top 15. So that was what? A 7-point swing right there? 8-point swing right there? Since we went on board with Slayer, a brilliant, brilliant start to their day.
Yeah, absolutely massive, particularly when we're in kind of this early stage of the games. Don't forget, it's a 3-hour window or 10 matches. But you see, there's one of the players we were talking about, Atlantis' Mitro up on the high ground. And Mitro picking up an elim there. He's known for playing this high ground scenario, already sitting on 4 elims. And he has that legendary infantry rifle along with the legendary pump and putting tons of pressure down on their opponent.
That was huge right there. Only 5 assault rifle shots left up until that final limb. Now Mitro moving towards the zone. What you'll see from this player, always on the high ground. It's like it's the number one thing that the top players go for at all times. No surprise to see Mitro up here right now. Players going to be landing on him. Quick shot does miss right there, trying to keep this high ground build up, but you can't get too high up. Thankfully, has the cliff right there to fall down on if needed. 8 players remaining to beam with that legendary infantry rifle, continuing to keep this high ground. Great placement traps down. 65 total builds left at 16 points so far in this first game.
Yeah, the poison trap did fire. You heard it go off there. That's 80 straight damage going through. Bypass the shield, so picking up an elim there. Now going to go to work from the high ground with that RPG. It's going to be incredibly hard to contest him now that we're into that 9th circle. The zone is so narrow that because he already has high ground, he can just keep raining down shots. Ons goes down. That's 7 elims already, and he's into the top 3.
Top 3 with the high ground right now. Mitro continuing to rain down terror with this legendary rocket launcher. Another one comes on through. Midnight desperately trying to stay alive. That's a quick shotgun tag there as well for Mitro. One player still left in a baller, I believe, did just either rift or launch pad up above.
Yeah, did get rifted up to have that amount of height and
Nice
go
shot.
back down, but Midnight's going down. So it was Krakito who wasn't that baller. And Mitro can actually reload and get him with the RPG because of how low it is. Krakito tries to grapple back up, but loses the high ground. Mitro's just going to try and position him out here. You have Mitro in the top right, Krakito in the bottom right, wide on the left-hand side here.
My goodness, what a performance so far for Mitro in this one. Drops the campfire down. Krakito trying to dodge these rocket shots from coming on in. Health advantage still to Mitro. Krakito has all the materials in the world because, you know, they spend most of the game in that baller, but whips the build for a second, drops all the way down, and now it looks like it's Mitro's game to win. There it is. Yes, the health was ticking down, but in the end, it's not enough for Krakito. And one of the 3 players you mentioned, Sundown, Mitro, victory royale and 9 eliminations, a monster performance.
Yeah, and you see he's already on 25 points there after that match. And I mean, Mitro deserves all the credit. From the original Blitz showdown, when we were talking about most of the players in those top scoreboards were a difference of a single digit or double digits away from each other, he was triple digits ahead of every single person who was playing on that. No one else was close. So it was like, hey, back then it was a little underscore Mitro, brought him in, won a ton of skirmishes, had that incredible shockwave grenade play that everyone knows, like getting down, getting one of the victories from that. But we're jumping right on now into the next match. I mean, tons of players already stacked up in these dense circles.
This one nowed by Dusty Divot. As Sully on your screen, Anxios, 6 eliminations already in this game, make it 7. The beam with the suppressed submachine gun, but again, the ammo count down to just 9, so it looks like the epic assault rifle will have to do for now. Free launch pad to move in towards zone. That's one of the best feelings in competitive Fortnite, Sundown, is when you don't have any movement items, and next thing you know, one of these opponents just drops one down, basically right into your face uncontested.
Yeah, we talk about it, either the community launch pad or recycled utility. When you hear those launch pads or hear those grips, they have such like very, very distinct audio cues that players will start running towards them. And generally, the players on the backside of the circle are going to be using those. So you either have the option to fight with everyone else who's rotating, or just kind of hop in one of the free utilities.
Eskil wanted to begin to aim up at the player who rifted, but a couple things hindering that. One being the huge 1x1 built just behind us to watch out for, you know, any opposing player looking to third-party that engagement. Eskil just continue to hold the pyramid at 31 players remaining in this game as the zone about to begin to move towards this kind of northeast side.
Yeah, looking for whatever shots he can get here as he is able to hit a ton with that uncommon AR, picking up the elim right there. Also has the boogie bombs going through if he's going to be able to
20 shots left.
Now, yeah, needs to rotate, doesn't have a ton of AR or really anything. I mean, 9 pump shells too?
Yeah. This is a kind of an inventory where you're like, you have to make something happen right now.
Well, it's super unfortunate that he wasn't able to get over and get any of those resources. He does have the boogies and sees these ballers down. Now, going to drop it down. 1, 2, 3 players out of the ballers. Connects with the pump shot, but not able to quite convert, and that's going to make it that much harder. We talked about his limited inventory.
Yep.
Now he's a boogie bomb down as well.
That was basically the all-in type play, hoping for a free elimination. Does not wind up panning out right there. Eskil continuing to build. Now just 20 builds, too. It's one of those moments where they have to make something happen in these next couple of seconds, or else they will be out of the ability to fire back from more than, what, 10 feet away?
Yeah, there's nothing he's going to be able to do there now as we jump back on board with Axios, who's sitting now on 9 eliminations and putting that suppressed SMG to work. We talk about how strong that rare SMG is all the time. Now, Johnny Jepp going down there as well. The reason players tend to favor this over the compact is it has a slightly more effective rate of fire per damage ratio, so it actually sprays against walls and players better. So in these tight quarters situation, it's incredibly valuable, and he's showing it here. Now, he does have a pump shotgun. The toolbar is not showing that, but able to clean it up there.
That was almost a perfect bait. Right there, the player thinks Axios is going to keep on running now at 12 eliminations. Instead, edits through both the ceiling and the pyramid. 12 elims to this point. Top 6 right now. Axios looking for what could be one of the top performances we will see all day in solos if they can secure this victory royale. Eskil still alive on your screen. Only 1 build left, so smart play from Axios following this enemy build up to this point. You see frantically spinning in circles, looking for any chance at an elimination. You can't go any higher up. They don't want to go all the way down because at that point you have no chance to really build. That's it for the builds. It's now down to just pure gun skill. There's the shot and the elimination. Beautifully done. Materials now on deck, at least enough to build with for the next couple moments. That'll actually get him to the high ground. That's a game-saving play, Sundown.
Game-saving play, and also pushes him into the top 5 as well, and gives him the campfire. So now he can just hang out on the high ground and wait. Everyone else is going to battle it out as Awalane is able to pick up 2 elims on the low ground. But Axios is just sitting pretty now, has high ground, 10 builds. Awalane, he has the health advantage as well. I mean, it's going to be incredibly difficult for him to not take this away.
Yeah. Axios going for it all right now. The spray comes in with the SMG, the wall replays, the shot, the elimination. 14 elims and the victory royale, Sundown. What is that, a 24-point game?
Yeah, it's a 24-point match. So after his only 2-point probably first match or so, as we are into like the latter half where we're getting into it, queues have been up for about an hour or so. I mean, that's going to put you right back into it. If you have a 2-point match, you're probably going to be a little bit dejected. To then follow it up with a 14 elimination victory royale, that's huge.
Spoiler alert, to average 13 points a game, you're going to qualify. There's really no other way to put it. Benji Fishy, a name we've seen a lot of so far from the European region, absolutely one of the top players in the world here in competitive Fortnite, is qualified for the duos and solos competition.
Yep, last week putting up a first-place performance with his duo, Mr. Savage, in the duos competition. The week before that, getting 3rd place overall. So one of 2 players to already qualify for solos and duos. So really, just playing for a little bit of prize and a little bit of practice.
Hey,
there.
that's the best thing, right? Practice. Get back into these games. You're competing against some of the best in the world, especially if you make it to Sunday. Benji Fishy, look at the inventory. In a brilliant position right now. Sitting pretty. Materials for days, ammo for days, on the high ground, metal fully built 1 by 1, and it's actually one of the most stark differences in builds in competitive Fortnite. The difference between a not finished metal structure and a fully fortified metal structure. Where he's sitting right now, 1 rocket won't take him down. A full spray from an AR will take a very long time to really make a difference. He's sitting so comfortably at the moment. Now we'll begin to place the pad. There we go. But there, you saw how comfy he was. He was raining down fire for the last 2 minutes in this game as he picked up a few eliminations.
Yeah, didn't have to worry at all. And you talk about that basically when you're in that fully metal and fortified structure. The only thing that super threatens you is somebody trying to heavy snipe your way through. But if you're on ultimate high and you're aware of your surroundings, you should be in a good spot. As you see him now going to opt for a slurp in order to pick up those boogies and then just rotate himself away as the rest of the players now moving from that high ground into the low ground. Kind of an interesting rotation coming through, but Benji making sure he's ahead of it, now trying to catch players as they follow up.
One of the best traits you see of these top players is that half the time this is going on for me, Sundown, when I'm playing, I'm like panicked about who's near me, you know, what's going on. I get in the zone and then I barely be able to put any damage down range. These guys get in the zone and you saw the second he was knowing that he was safe, he was immediately laying down shots and is getting back into every bit of fighting he can get into.
Yeah, and there was that rift right next to him, but he opts not to take it as he's looking for more of those fights because he knows if he's going to capitalize on eliminations, that's not going to happen in the sky. As now we're into the top 10, getting the boogie bombs out does connect, but not onto that Ballard player. Looking to follow it up, 22 white, finds the second one, TMK 35 going down there, but Benji in a little bit of a tight spot.
Yeah, you know he wanted to try to grab that slurp juice. Unfortunately, doesn't wind up picking it up. Still having to run away from this zone. 126 total builds. Materials will not be an issue for Benji Fishy when pushing up that mountain. Not many players left in this game. Campfire now dropped. 56 total shield. Benji immediately building on out. Doesn't have control over that wood wall. Yes, smart play to get out of there as soon as possible. In the top left of your screen, you see the exact amount of players remaining. Top 7 right now. Remember, getting to the top 5 will earn you some extra points as well. 14 total points up to this point in the semifinals for Benji Fishy. Just going to spray and try to do some damage to that baller.
Yeah, just try and knock that out there. Make sure it's out of play as you see now how the rest of the lobby is laid out as we move into the top 5. So all about the elims and the victory royales. Insane on the high ground. Benji working through the low ground.
And Benji using that natural, expedition site that's already there as cover. Gives him peace of mind as he tries to push on forward. Does get a quick fight with Pure. That's an elimination right there for the 50 extra HP. One player with a bush nearby.
Yeah, and the bush is actually really solid in this circumstance when people are peeking, as long as you don't, quote-unquote, waste it on an SMG shot. If you're able to kind of soak up a single pump shot with that, has insane.
Wow.
Goes down. Zilot knocking him down from the high ground, and he's not able to catch himself in time. Super unfortunate there. As now Zilot in your top right has the high ground. Benji in the bottom right on the low ground. RB just above him, but with little effective HP.
And now with the zone moving down the mountain, whoever's in the high ground will have to begin to waterfall. You see Zealot knows that. Immediately drops down into Arby's builds. Arby with not a ton of health.
Yeah, and Zealot has no builds either, so he's reliant on whatever RB has. Benji throwing up the boogie bomb, but like we said, that respects LOS. But RB dropping down onto Benji does still have that bush, but gets shredded off, trying to push through. Benji does convert, 25 HP, puts the trap down. Will it fire? No, does not go off. The player sidesteps, and can Benji get back in the zone? Yes, he does, 5 HP. Zealot now in the top right. He's looking for Benji. He knows he's low, doesn't find the shot.
No builds. He can't match this build-up. Does Benji Fishy, but he did. He's blocked out of the zone. Benji Fishy, 5 HP, gets the job done. And look at the amount of mats left. We talked about 150 builds earlier. It's like it's like calculated down to the exact moment with just 10 total builds. Blocks out Zealot, who cannot build back into the zone. Benji Fishy with the victory royale.
That was Galaxy Brain and a half right there.
Yeah.
What honestly would have been a panic moment for both, or for pretty much any player. He was able to confidently just retake high ground, wait the opponent out, knowing his effective HP was so low. When that trap play didn't go off, it's fine. He pivoted, and I mean, again, there's a reason he's qualified for both competitions already. Just super impressive coming out of him there. Now, we're jumping on board with Yako here, and if you are just joining us, as you saw that graphic in the top right, we're in the European portion of the Fortnite Online Open Qualifiers Week 3 for the Fortnite World Cup. Again, all these players trying to get into the top 3,000, but for Europe, that threshold is pretty high. I think we were talking about how it was 48 last week for solos, it was 58 for duos, so Europe has a lot of intense competition. You got to be putting out a solid average scores in order to even make it for a chance to compete at one of those qualifying spots. As a big brain Prevo, not so big brain there. Yako taking him down, no problem.
Nice, I like that. Now Yako's got to be thinking, whoa, some of that assault rifle ammo sounds great to me. As he'll continue to spray right now. Akon did go in for that loot. Yako continued to put on the pressure. Unfortunately for them, they are not safe yet. They'll have to both continue to move on in.
Yep, as you see now, that storm is closing. You see in the bottom right-hand corner, Circle 5 will finish up in about 5 seconds, and we'll see where Circle 6 is moving to. As a couple more elims there push us inside the top 25, and everyone gets 3 placement points for their treble. Yes, just making it into that threshold will give you some points. As you see, Inkozer is trying to track this player through the edits. It gets the trade out and picks up XD Doodoo.
Nicely done. Hopping on Bill, hopping on in, grabbing whatever they can off that body. Good little upgrade for that SMG. Ooh.
Yeah, there were some boogies in there too. Let's opt to see if he goes with that. Instead, opting for the double SMG, double AR, which gives you a decent amount of spray. Nope, gonna drop one of the ARs there, so.
It's like you try to justify it. I think Inkos are just a little bit flustered right now when looting these bodies.
Well, we've seen the double SMG before with a lot of the players opting to do that so they don't have to reload and catching players off guard, but didn't really have a good justification for double AR, right?
As now YT Pokes with the slurp juice still ticking. Ooh, trying to go for the no build rotation, and does take a Desert Eagle shot to the cheek right there from that hand cannon. Pokes building on out.
Those rounds definitely still hurt the first shot accuracy. Able to punish there, but now Pokes picking up a great backside of the storm rotation, but still need to be ready to fight. Hits that minimum 30 damage threshold right there as he gets ripped from the high ground from Sake, but Sake then gets ripped from somebody else on the other side, and this is just chaos in this rotation.
Yep, it's one of those moments where it's like you take a peek out just to be able to get some damage downrange, and that can wind up spelling your demise. Good
Or
use of the
smelling your demise.
Oh, well done right there, Sundown. Brownie points for you. As the stink grenade does come through, Rift being used as Pokes get there in time. Doesn't look like it'll happen.
No, and you see Drunk there down to nearly no effective HP as Sake now on the high ground punishes YRQY, taking him down and getting the launch pad first trouble now on the high ground with only 7 players remaining. Can he make it 6? Yes, he does, picking up Flowy, so almost to that next placement threshold as well with a ton of builds and a rift.
Yeah, you've got to think this is Sake's game to win. Turning back around, beaming Pure out of the sky. These players so weak in the late game. Oh, nearly busts right through that build with the heavy sniper, but a quick reaction from the player just down below. That was Replay.
Yeah, good
saving their own life
there from Replay, making sure he got something in the way. The heavy sniper does have a relatively distinct pullout sound when you equipped it. So you can see now Sake in the top right, sitting on 5 elims. Vincent sitting on 6 elims in the bottom right. Everything else going on the wide on your left.
Quick little spray from Vincent, going up towards 177 total hit points. Near max material. Sake, brilliant shotgun shot, as well as a swap back to the assault rifle. You know, the accuracy of these players in the late game makes all the difference. Sake now looking down low, 3 players remaining who can get those valuable final victory royale points when it comes down to the placement. 32 points so far from Sake. You mentioned last week 58 points was kind of the lowest you could have to qualify for Sunday.
Yeah.
More than well on his way right now. Does miss that shotgun shot. A quick reaction time in the build right there. He's in a tree, and look, try to panic destroy that tree because it is a little bit clunky to fight in at times.
Well, also
gives
you some last-minute resources, what you're looking for there as Kayuba is trading out with Vincent. Don't forget, Sake does have that heavy sniper, has reloaded it, so does have the ability to drop in and kind of surprise one of these guys. Poison traps now on the low ground, trying to add a little bit of protection. This is such a tense 1v1. It's been going on forever, but finally Sake breaks the ice, taking down XD Kayuba. And now it's just a 1v1.
And the player that's down low would hear the shield being cracked, but it doesn't matter. Sake drops down. Quick elimination, victory royale, 37 points in total now for Sake. Brilliantly done. You get the high ground, you use the heavy sniper. That was a textbook showing of knowing when to use your utility, not using the rift just to use it. When you've got the advantage, you continue to play on it. A nice victory there, Zeke, for Sake.
Thank you guys so much. Great cast on the day. Europe starting off strong. Now I'm joined here by Bala. We're going to be breaking down some awesome things for you guys. So Bala, what nice little goodies do you have for us?
I mean, we just saw some amazing games. We are going to try to take a look at the standings when we get a chance, and it's shaping up. I mean, it is semifinals, so people are not feeling it as hard as they would tomorrow. But Lecce, who just signed to Atlantis, I believe today or maybe yesterday, absolutely on top right now. Flexi as well. We saw him in that last game. And we talked about just briefly, 53 points or around there was the qualifying range for last week's or the first solo week.
Yeah.
So everybody making their way up. It's still early, so still feeling their getting their groove, you know.
Yeah, you probably want to assume that a lot of these players are just looking to qualify for tomorrow. Maybe they don't want to show off maybe landing spots or potential strategies they have, but already shaping up. I mean, the points are coming through, man. People are definitely making a statement for sure. I'm curious to see what replays you've got for us as well.
Yeah, we saw some fantastic games. First off, Mitro showing off why he's one of the best players in the world and showing off the importance of high ground. Just look at all these opportunities he gets at all these people coming over the hill. This player just edits right into him. You don't want to edit into Mitro. You definitely don't. But then, I mean, he follows it up with an RPG as well. Look, there's so many opportunities here just for free because all these players are all congested on that mid ground, and he even goes up and makes sure that he secures this, doesn't let it go. Somebody starts to challenge him, he says, nope, I'm not going to let you do that. And then this is amazing right here. The RPG play up from the top. This is exactly why Mitro's the best player. He knows exactly his situation. He knows the opportunities he has. Look at his materials. Not that much going on for this. So he goes out of the zone even to knock him down, but realizes he doesn't have an opportunity to really waterfall back down into this while Krakito is down on low ground. So that's perfect with the infantry or the infantry rifle there. And then Awalnye didn't actually end up winning this game, but getting into top two with that quick two little elim right there, and then Exios is going to take him out, unfortunately. But good showing from both of these guys. We saw the amount of points Exios got in there. But here, Benji Fishy, look at this. He's actually, Courage said he was in a tough position. He is. He's all the way on low ground, the utility that he doesn't have. He looks up to make sure what is the situation as this guy goes right on top of him. Benji Fishy into the bush as well is going to be able to take that one, and then this player drops right in front of him. This is why you know he's the first of two people who qualified for both solos and duos. This is the confidence that you know he has, making sure he makes the right plays in and under pressure while both of those guys dropped on top of him and then just closing him out. Really solid play there from Benji.
Listen, Benji, though you are a legend in your own regard, I'm going to go ahead and knock you because, again, you've moved away from the fish stick skin. Okay, that's how I knew you, Benji. That's who you were in my mind. And you've let me down. But that's okay. Still, mad props to you. Now, guys, don't forget we have more action in use. We're going to send it back over to Sundown and Courage to take us through.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Sundown, right now, you begin to play. What is your go-to skin?
Oh, what is my go-to skin? That's a tough one. I'm a big fan of the Nayu skin.
Okay.
Just kind of like, I like the kind of like totemic aspects of it, and also there was a DJ who released something that looks very similar like it, so I've been rocking those as well. But also either of the Plague skins, I'm a big fan of as well, kind of the one with the Plague mask on there. Yes. Those are kind of my two go-tos as now we jump on board with the Invuls Calyx. But the one thing I will say, the only back bling I ever rock is the black bow.
Oh, yeah.
Only ever. The black bow is 100% consistent.
You know, as the 120th highest earning Fortnite player in the history of competitive Fortnite competition, not to toot my own horn, but just want to remind everybody that, you know, that did happen. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the Alpine girl skin.
Oh, okay.
So I rock her, the U.S. edition, with the Red Knight back bling and the Reaper pickaxe. Or what's his name?
Yep. No, big fan of that one as well. My go-to pickaxe is the kind of just the straight Viking axe. I forget which one it's exactly called, but I know it's not a giant, like super well-known one. But ever since I saw that one,
I know you want people to use the hashtag. Watch this, guys. What skin combo do you use when you play? Use the hashtag Fortnite World Cup. I'm going to be reading them. Be sure to tag both of us on Twitter as we get into our next game. 20 players remaining down near the south side of the map. It's going to rotate right in towards this POI of Happy Hamlet. Oh no! That's about the best use of a stink you could ever ask for, huh, Sundown?
We've seen that before. I know the players running around thinking their shields will be enough, but now with the stinks and the poison dart traps, sometimes you got to be wary of your effective health. If you're not carrying bandages or a med kit, and then you get chipped out, it doesn't matter how many shields you have if you run into a stinker like that from Pepper.
The zone beginning to move. One baller in play down low that we've seen so far.
Yeah, and that's actually Flexi, who we've seen before challenging towards the top, the player from Gambit. Again, one of those young European lords coming out towards that. And now you see Pepper there with 142 builds on the high ground. But Flexi was in our top 10 as well, so a player to keep an eye on as we head into tomorrow for those qualifying spots. But 17 players left, Circle 6 coming through. Pepper just kind of hanging out right now.
No, I mean, this is one of the bigger rotations where you need to build a lot. And Pepper hasn't needed to build a thing because of the free launch pad. So Pepper's going to land with still right near max materials. You really can't ask for much more. Did have to take a couple ticks from Storm. But hey, it's like a give and take right there. And I think you win that top of the battle. That elimination from Quexy, not only a 1 point elim, as we know, but 2 extra points for placing now in the top 15. How about another point for the elimination onto Avenary?
And this is what you talked about, these players being so good about putting down shots when rotating. Normally here, the average player is worried about just getting out and trying to find their next move. Flexi taking the time, getting 2 AR peaks, but barely even landed. That looked like 2 like infantry rifle headshots, maybe? That had to have been 88 damage?
Or just a brilliant pump shotgun shot from NXSRZ. I mean, I have no idea what that just was, but hey.
Speaking of brilliant pump shots.
Yeah, Flexi hasn't seemed to miss in the last few scenarios we've watched. I think Flexi for a moment was contemplating grabbing that heavy sniper rifle, doesn't wind up picking it up in the end, down to just 2 minis, but again, still a ton of materials to build with. Down to our top 8, extra placement points come in for our top 5.
Look how far south we are right now, Jack.
Oh, yeah.
We could get real awkward with this movement as it gets awkward when DRG, one of the players who has already qualified for the Solo World Cup final, gets taken out by Flexi. Flexi saying, you're not pushing into my box.
Not at all. Pepper, Lich, Storms XD, Coley, Flexi up top. All these players slowly inching towards the edge of this map. It will not go over the water. Storms XD shots down range. There goes Lich. A second follow-up. Can they continue the elimination chain? Doesn't appear so.
Does have a heavy sniper as well if he wants to try and catch somebody off guard, but 6 players remaining. As I say that, Charles B1969 goes down there, and Storm's great trade out right there, actually picking up that elim, but now only down to 4 builds, Jack.
Yeah, 4 builds left, and on the low ground. If any player up top has a rocket launcher or any sort of explode, it is not going to be a fun time at all. Flexi slowly inching on out with that build. Coley dropping down low, does take some shield damage there. Pepper with just about exactly 100 HP. Storms no shields left. This is all signs of being a Flexi victory. We'll see what Storms can do. 8 total builds now. There's the RPG I was worried about. If you're Flexi, you can see how panicked he is at the moment. Probably going to go try to farm this tree if I had to guess.
Needs whatever he can.
There was only one hit.
swing. It's not even a build.
God. Trying to farm a bench.
It was one.
Yeah, I knew it. At that point, low ground, no builds. Pepper does drop, at least earning some placement points that game. Pepper now looking up towards the high ground. The player who's on ultimate low ground.
Yeah, and does get 15 builds from the Matt's drop-down build. Was able to find it, trying to edit. Coley down, doesn't quite find it. Flexi still staying disciplined. Gets that rocket launcher reloaded, trying to find the shot on the low ground, but can't quite sneak it in. As we move through all of this cover, you talked about the natural cover being so good at dissuading this, but Pepper ends up capitalizing from Flexi's pressure on above. Now it gets real awkward, but Flexi finds the angle.
The second you get a hit like that, Flexi's getting actually pushed out of the zone due to this metal build. Does get back in time. With the campfire being here, with how low Pepper's health is, Flexi should just sit this one on out, let this game end. Surprised not putting pyramids down, but it is done and dusted. Brilliantly done by Flexi. And when it comes down to it, again, look at the mats left. Basically like 7 builds. 50 points now for Flexi. Sundown. I think we're going to be seeing them playing tomorrow.
Oh, he'll definitely be playing tomorrow. And one of the players you should be keeping an eye on to potentially be challenging for one of the qualifying spots. But the action does not stop there. We're going to keep these end games rolling. If you guys haven't watched a Fortnite cast in a while, I know it's a little different. We've swapped up how we jump into these matches, and you can actually jump into the matches too. If you're keeping an eye on this action in the leaderboards and checking out in client, you can click on these players, you can go to their name, and you can see the matches that they're in. There is the 10-minute delay, but the absolutely nuts elim coming out of Raga there. Was that a clinger?
Yes, it was. Most importantly, is that 2 Rift to goes?
I mean, that's a loadout and a half. You're able to hit the Hail Mary clingers and then 2 rifts to able to take that late rotation out, up over the volcano, which with the amount of vents may be a little questionable, but better safe than sorry.
Yeah, right. You might as well just use them if you got them at that point, I think Raga thinks. Toxic sitting in the middle of just all this action. You see a full 360-degree aggression coming in from these enemies. In the top right of your screen, the qualifier spots per region. We're currently spectating the European matches. 8 spots up for grabs this week in solos. Wasn't it Mongral who placed in 9th in the first week of solos?
I think he was pushed a little farther out than that. I know that the big story for me has been Airwalks getting pushed out in both solos and duos by a singular point in one of them, and then a tiebreaker, but always last match. That's definitely the big heartbreaker there. I think Mongo ended up finishing 13th or so, I want to say. I'll have to double check that one out.
Still 32 players remaining in this one. Toxic just, you see, spinning in full circles, wondering where is the next threat going to come from.
Yeah, just trying to stay safe in that metal 1x1. The one thing you've talked about, when it's fully built, you're good. But when you re-edit the wall, it actually adjusts the health. It lowers it before it rebuilds out.
It just has to basically rebuild itself.
Yep, so it makes you more vulnerable. So edit peeking through metal isn't necessarily the most efficient thing to be doing.
Yeah. It's a trade-off. You get vision, but your structure becomes a lot weaker. Sari just near Toxic. Toxic decides it's now time to move on out. Thankfully for Toxic, Nabu right next door doesn't actually peek out for that moment.
Oh, sees the rift. Can he get to it? No. The other players babysitting it, and Axie just going to go down, not taking the rift and using the free utility, and gonna allow Toxic to pick up max builds as well.
Not many AR shots left, though, as now they're continuing to move on. And look at the stack already of players in this next build waiting in the new zone. Toxic, who we were following, is on the right side of that screen. You see still 105 total builds remaining. When will the boom bow be brought into play? 8 seconds till this storm closes. I think Toxic has now made it in safe.
Yep, and now we're into the top 25 there as Fnatic. Butter Eye 98 does go down. Good stink. We talked about it. I know Zeke is a big proponent of it. As these zones get smaller, just how much more effective those stinks get. And a great reaction shot from Twin Toxic right there. But is getting pressured from above now. Needs to waterfall down and continue looking for more elims.
And that just gets clipped by something right there as well. One player nearby, that's Yunes with the elim. Everyone beginning to float down towards the low side of the map. What a fall off it is, because we're coming down the hill from this volcano.
Yeah, and
that directly impacts how you have to play this zone, Hassan, now.
Yeah, you see them opting to use the jump pads there, not necessarily for the long rotation, but instead to get up and then dive down to avoid taking fall damage. As now with those elims, we're pushed into the top 15, 2 more placement points, and we're above the lava.
Steezy, close range fight can be so awkward when you're stuck under these stairs. Well, won the first one. Can he do it again? Seems like right now, just going to stay alive for the moment. Storm's still pushing away. 7 total minis in the inventory right now. Oh, sorry, it was a Slurpee popped. I thought I missed that it was a Slurp juice at first. I'm like, wow, Steezy was kind of stacked right there. Another close range elimination. Again, in these late game zones, there's so many ways you can practice in creative mode, and one of the most important ones is being able to quickly hit shots when you and the opponent are both kind of bouncing around, hitting your head on stairs, bouncing off of different materials, snapping onto your opponent, hitting that headshot with a shotgun. Steezy's now done it 3 times when we swapped to his perspective.
Yeah, and that's Nabo there. picking up the elim in your top right to push us into the top 5. And you talk about practicing these kind of late game scenarios. Shout out to the Storm Wars situations, getting players prepped for stuff like this.
Yep, and I actually love this from Nabu, knowing that he's got the glider redeploy, staying higher than you normally would. Also with the different changes in elevation, not panicking, 115 mats, redeploy can be used. Brilliantly blocks the first launch pad play. One player landing right on him, does with the shotgun, and he traps the inventory, doesn't appear so. 2 players now up top. This panic spray coming in with that suppressed assault rifle. Nabu again, still building on out. Now down to our top 4. Peeking down from this high ground, Steezy on the low ground, 6 elims to this point.
Yeah, now top 3 situation. Steezy able to pick that one up and also getting great shots onto Quickie Rookie there. Now we're into a 1v1. Steezy sitting on 7 elims, but is on low ground. Health
no mats.
Close to equal. But
Can't
yeah,
build a
you're
wall.
right. No mats, cannot move, is going to be completely at the mercy of this zone, trying to force Nabo down, just force him to fight.
In the
and
lava.
Instead, he's going to the lava. The floor is literally lava, but Steezy has pushed Nabo out, and he gets it. Courage, he gets it.
That should never happen if you're Nabo. That should never happen. You should never lose that scenario that you just saw. Literally should never lose that. The real Nabu has enough builds to keep that going. Typically I say, hey, this or that. You should never lose that right there. Thankfully, for Nabo, still gets the top 2, still has a monster performance, but on a day like tomorrow, Sundown, where you're going for 8 spots, and we've seen 1 point, a tiebreaker even, can make the difference, that's one that you have to win.
Yep, you're definitely going to have to take that one home. And it's really unfortunate there as Kaelis does get forced out from the stink. You have to use your positional advantage as well, as we see Hoopik used there with the stink grenade. But when you have a player kind of stuck and forced to take damage, not only from the storm, but also from the lava, just wait it out, you're good. But this is an absolutely stacked lobby, as you see Mongrel in there, Hoopik in there, Pepper in there as well, Dollar C, Quinton, Extozid, just like a ton of fantastic players, and Mongrel sitting on 36 points right now. But yeah, not a small amount of shields indeed. Honestly, could probably open up another Fortnite set and host another little shield wall.
Yeah, right.
That little inventory.
As when we're all trying to put down shots with this epic infantry rifle. Now I guess it's time for the minigun.
That's a long-range minigun.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe has enough ammo for it. 630 rounds. Kygos gets cut down by that infantry rifle.
Look at the angle he's peeking from.
Yep.
And we talk about learning from the best of the players. Just look at how they use cones inside the 1x1 to not only protect themselves, but also give themselves a better angle to hit people. That slight rise there, allowing him to pick up the elim as we get closer to that top 25 for the first placement threshold.
You know, it's funny. The first time I really saw cones being used in competitive play was way back, over a year ago now, basically, where players would actually pre-edit their cones to face downward, and instead of having to rotate their ramp, they would just use the normal ramp, and then their cone was essentially just a downwards facing ramp. That was like a mind-blowing meta change in early competitive Fortnite. Now the cone is absolutely by far the most important build in Fortnite, whether it's in your box, on top of your box, the way you can use it in build battles when taking high ground. Good cone usage can make you go from a good builder to an excellent builder.
Absolutely, and most importantly,
oh my goodness, look at this.
A huge stack on this high ground, and particularly when you're in a stack like this, you need a second level of protection, and that's where the cone comes in, being an interior version of protection and also an exterior one, allowing you to double roof. But great shots coming out from Aizen here, able to pick up DDS Swiss, and you've talked about it again, but just watching these players take shots as they rotate and track the players who are rotating, not only through their aim, but knowing where the players are going to come from just because of a previous interaction is so absurd.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, I can be kind of the last one to follow the zone, right, and have it be right at my back. What does that do for me? One, it basically lets me see the back of all the players who are ahead of me. If I'm the last one, everyone's got their back to me. Great. 2, 2, it lets you have the ability to hit maybe a community launch pad or something more because they've all been placed already. On the other hand, there's also negatives to it. When you're the last one to be moving, there's a much higher chance that you need to break through awkward builds. You're kind of blocked by other structures that have already been built. Another one that comes to mind is you can easily be gate kept by players who are already in zone. So it's one of those pros and cons where it's like, hey, I've got to make the decision early on if I'm going to rotate early, or if I have no easy rotation abilities, rotate late and try to catch people off guard.
Yep, and now you see Azen here has ended up in that late rotation, out of builds, but able to pick up the elim there and get out.
And one thing I want to point out to our viewers at home, that might have just looked like a quick little victory inside of a 1-by-1. No, it wasn't just that at all. There was a trap placed on the back wall as well. So in the middle of that, in Azen's mind, they're saying, okay, I've landed in here. I've got to try to dodge this trap. I've got to kind of continually hit my shots while also moving out of the storm. Does all those three things, does get to live to see another moment, but unfortunately still meets their demise. Heading on over to Gensi, I believe.
Yep, I'll say Gensi as well. Smiley face as we're into that top 8. 2 ballers still hanging out and around, using the extra shield. Will have a ton of mats, but should probably get knocked out very shortly as the circle does constrict.
I will tell you this, Sundown, I'm a smiley face in the name hater.
Not a big fan.
Not a big fan.
I'm not a big fan either. Not a fan of the special characters.
Yeah,
you know,
in the name.
No, also just a pain for when I was like doing a lot of the administration stuff, trying to track down who some of these players were. As Gensi does pick up Mongrel, who's not going to have a smiley face on his face after that one.
No.
As we're into the top 7, and 2 RPGs also from Gensi as he gets the drop, but the shot doesn't come out with the pump. I don't know if he panicked there, but gets a great flick onto George to kind of redeem himself.
Somehow flicks as well as retakes high ground over the player he was just fighting. Kind of a double whammy right there. Gensi moving on in towards zone, wants to stop for a moment and try to get another slurp popped.
But he only has one more mat now. Looking at the wide, you have Sajantu building his way down towards Kienseth, who was another one of those players who was pushed out from that tiebreaker by DRG. Just missed it last week in the solos. Now you have 2 different 1v1s, Dolar C and Gensi on the low ground, Sajantu and Giants Kienseth on the high ground as Gensi trying to find an angle. Great pump shot there, but can he finish it?
Wow, and it's a player down in 2 from up top. 3 players remaining. Shazantu still up on the high ground. Kianseth trying to move out of the zone. The rocket hits. There he goes. And Shazantu drops down. Gensi with the win. 1 rocket makes all the difference. Both players caught off guard. And that was Gensi's last RPG shot. And it winds up eliminating both of the final players.
What a great heads-up play to look back, notice to knock down the waterfall. I mean, just look at that fossil, too. That is such a great build going back through.
Connected
really
to the
impressive.
llama.
Yeah, all the way through, connected over to that editable llama. But now we're going to jump right on board. The matches don't stop. You see Aqua and Kara in an engagement over on the side, 2 of our players who are towards the top of the leaderboard, but we have Rudyard trying to put pressure on it with the flint-knock. Can he find it? That would be an absurd shot.
With no assault rifle.
Yep.
It's like, why is Rudyard doing this?
Yo, ready? It's going to be impulse into flint-knock, into pump.
71 shot.
That was a headshot, too.
Rudyard maybe changing the meta with this flintlock pistol.
I mean, you can do it. I've seen, I think it was either Wildcat or Marksman who had a clip of them doing double flintlock to jump through the air off of an impulse.
All right, folks, you seen it here first.
What?
Rudyard ready to change how we play Fortnite Battle Royale. As we say that, gets completely cracked by a close-range shotgun.
Yeah, needs to be careful here. You see how he immediately edits the ramp to put a second layer in between, now getting run through the rest of his wood. Gonna try and put at least a 1x1 space in between him, but you have Aimsons putting the pressure onto him right now. Rudyard still just trying to make some space as we're going to jump on board with Aqua, one of our players who is in, I believe, the top 5 or top 10 right now, as Tyovsky goes down to Siberia.
Aqua sitting pretty on the high ground with redeploy as well as a launch pad. Can get out of here if needed. You see that drop? Get pushed, so he'll try to put some fire down range. Has all the AR shots you could ever need in this late game scenario. 20 seconds until the zone begins to push. And if you look at your minimap, it's going directly over an elevated surface. What difference does it make, Sundown, for maybe people at home when this goes up such a sharp vertical hill?
So you're forced to build your way up there if you are on the low ground or use any utility, which doesn't sound that hard. All these players are able to do a bunch of 90s. The issue is based off of when you're rotating, as we now get into that top 25, other players have already built in the way. So now you have to build your own way up there and deal with other players' builds as all the rotation is coming out. And odds are good there's also somebody on the high ground raining shots down on you because this is Fortnite. You're never safe.
No, you really aren't. Brief little bit of fall damage taken there as Aqua cuts down the player and the baller from up top. Look at the bottom side of your minimap. A couple players stuck in the storm. They have dropped.
Yep, and there's 1, 2, 3. As you say that in the top left-hand side, Yenny and Rosemary going down right away. Another player did join them, and you see the jump down redeploys. This is
straight out of an action movie.
Yeah, the next iteration we've seen with redeploy. A lot of players were like, oh, it's not good because it's so slow. But if you just fall all the way down and then pop it, you convert that momentum into horizontal speed going through, so it ends up being less of a glide time. And Aqua, great tracking of this player, but it gets eliminated actually by Webby's. Yeah, from that high ground fire down there.
Can't ask for a much better scenario if you've got a rocket on the high ground than two players weak fighting in the open. Kara does get cut down by Parallel with that shot. Aziki moving in. Min's Cola pumped right in the back. For only 28, though, can still continue to fight in these engagements. 22 builds remaining, a ton of shields in the inventory as well.
Yep, now we're into the top 10, but also Naranjito, the player who qualified second out of Europe last week, the Spanish player from Team Queso, is still in the match. Saw him picking up an Elam there. Minskola picking up Ziki as well to get closer to that top 5. Aimson's getting another Elam there. I mean, this is a stacked endgame right now. Yep. Elliott picking up Parallel, so now all about the victory royales and the elims from here on out. Top 5 are playing for the VR and to try and get as many points as they can. Naranjito, Elliott, Teddy, as well as Aimson. So now top 4.
This is perfect for Naren. Just being able to try to beam Aimson's Teddy, keeping that high ground. The foot knock play doesn't wind up working out, and that might actually spell Naren's demise. A quick pump does stay alive for the moment for the health on elimination. Min's Cola trades out that right there. Teddy dropping on down 197 HP to just 60. Teddy does get caught in the storm for a brief moment. Now back on the forward side of this engagement. No builds left. It's going to be low ground versus the player on the higher ground.
Yep, trying to drop him down, does get the drop down from VGIA Teddy.
Yep.
And the player from Vodafone Giants taking home the victory route at 50 points right now, telling Keysantha, you're not the only one who can show up, wanting to challenge towards there, and honestly, very well executed from him there. Naranjito went a little off the wires there, going full Rambo, but I mean, you got to make the play.
And there's that build up the side of the cliff where many players lost their life in the end of this one, but that'll do it for a bit of the European action for this brief moment. We're going to head back over to our analyst area to hear some updates on today's games.
Thank you guys so much. Massive congrats there to Teddy for winning that last game. Super clutch play from you, my friend. Now you got Zeke and you got Bala on deck. Bala's got some cool things to be breaking down for us. So Bala, what's up? Give me the deets.
Oh yeah, those last couple of games were a clinic in end game positioning. So we're gonna hop in with Flexi, who had such an amazing game. He showed us what positioning in the end game really means. So let's hop into those clips. I mean, you talk about positioning mid game, Zeke, a lot, but not necessarily in the end game, because mid-game positioning is what everybody wants to do. They want to get towards the end game. They want to make sure they survive.
Right.
End game, this is where you get the elimination. So giving you the opportunities here. Flexi, you can see he's center zone. This is the moving zone. He's center zone, and he gets way ahead of zone because he gets the time. This gives him so much time to look for shots like this on people coming in. Gatekeeping, you talk about it. But if you want to be able to do that, you go center zone as far as possible. And then Steezy as well, center zone, and guess what? It actually finds him in Elim on a little bit of a pinch with that other player. He's going to be able to pick up that Elim, get the rift, get out of there, and then get better positioning as well as he uses that rift. So important to rotate and get through the placements in this, right? You talk about the placement points in the format. There, another one, getting ahead of zone, that player coming in from the zone, be able to gatekeep him. But then Steezy, such a stressful position here, down on low ground with no materials. He does pick up one. He's going to be able to find another as well. This is where the composure matters, that huge shotgun shot on the rookie.
Oh my God. But that was disgusting.
That was absolutely disgusting, but guess who else was disgusting? Jency absolutely destroyed this lobby, and this is positioning, and he takes out Mongrel there. And that's not the only big name, because he takes out Kisans as well at the end, but this is all about controlling your own layer, and that's what he does. When he gets both of these next two elims, George goes down first. And then he makes sure, not only does he have the time to heal, he makes sure he uses all of his utility, drops down $C there, and now the entire low ground is all to him. He has all the time in the world to reload the RPG and say goodbye to the two players on high ground, Kisant and the other guy, the Victor Real Agency there. So solid, controlling your layers, Zeke. That's all it is.
Dang, that's crazy. That's it's very well executed from all these players. I think too we saw a little bit of those ramp plays within the 1x1s. It's actually a video you recently made, so you know, check out Ball's content. He's got some cool stuff. But seriously, all around great plays. Congratulations to everyone that's playing. We're coming down to the wire now, guys. We are going to have to take a short break. So when we return, we'll have even more Fortnite action heading your way. So stay tuned.
Jump on and drop in. It's time to kick off the Fortnite World Cup competition. From April 13th to June 16th, we'll be running Fortnite World Cup Online Opens, where you can qualify to compete for your chance at a piece of the $30 million prize pool. But how will these work, you ask? Each week will alternate back and forth between solos and duos competition, with players qualifying from each server region in Oceania, Asia, Europe, Brazil, NA East, and NA West. To find specifics for your server region, go to Fortnite.com/World Cup. To play in the online opens, you'll need to compete in the new Arena mode, an always-on form of competition where players can rank up tiers and leagues. It all starts in the Open League, and when players earn 125 points, they'll advance into Contenders League. After that, you'll need to build your way up to 300 points to unlock Champion League, where the Saturday online open players will be chosen. Then, we'll take the top 3,000 solo players or 1,500 duos from that Saturday semifinals and advance them to the Sunday finals. Each Sunday, 20 players will rise to the top and qualify to join us in New York for the Fortnite World Cup Finals. Buckle up, because we're officially on the road to the Fortnite World Cup Finals.
To be able to place first out of NA East for the second week of duos, it was honestly mind-blowing. Crims was actually really sick during the competition. He had to leave middle of games 3 times. He also ruined his keyboard. So like the fact that he went through all of that and we still qualified in NA East being a very strong region to qualify in, it was astonishing. We were both screaming and yelling.
So me and Clix have been playing together. I met him in December, but we've only been playing for like, I'd say a month. And I remember Clix specifically saying, I don't think we're gonna qualify this week, but I think we got the next week in 2 weeks. But I said, nope, we're qualifying this week. And I guess my words were true.
And then when we were going to the Fortnite live stream and we heard we're second, I screamed as loud as I can. And like, now that I actually show people like I know how to do it, it's just completely impressive.
We met at the Secret Skirmish. I was looking for a partner at the time, and I did not expect to win this soon, but I knew we were one of the best duos in the game. We won like 3 out of 5 games, so I knew we had the chemistry.
Seriously, it's an honor to qualify with Tyler first.
I was a little bit surprised because Arkham and I, like I said, just started doing 3 days ago. I mean, I guess it shows that individual skill can come out into a duo too, and we understand like how duo gameplay works and all that, so.
I knew a Falconer, I knew he was a good known player. We ended up doing really well, and I'm like, I want to see where this goes. So I kept on playing with him. We started getting our temp down, we started getting our end game rotations down, and we started taking off. And take everything seriously, and you will eventually get there.